I don't think the draft's going to be canceled. I mean, first of all, it doesn't seem like something that really needs to be canceled. I mean, I really feel like, it'll be just as fine a viewing experience putting a camera in other people's homes.
You can have it in a studio and just FaceTime with the guys for all I care.
Yeah, it could be like an online fantasy football draft.
Yeah, it really does. It doesn't feel like an event that needs to be canceled. I still feel like it can get monster ratings, and and look, this is the most important Dolphins draft in who knows how long.
Can you imagine the Dolphins are on the clock and just some alarm rings? Bring! Dolphins are on the clock like a fantasy football draft.
Yeah.
And then they get bad connection and they can't get the draft pick in, so they auto draft.
Oh no! And so they just end up with a guard, highest rated offensive lineman. Well, they did. I mean, listen, they had yesterday one of the quarterbacks that obviously has been tied to the Dolphins a lot has been Justin Herbert, and I think a big reason for that has been a couple things. One, I feel like the Dolphins have had to taper down their interest in Tua because it's looked so obvious that they want Tua. They don't want to get fleeced.
So they're going to pull the Charles Harris where they don't even talk to him, but they take him.
Right.
Kind of,
right.
We don't want you around, but we'll take
you.
I
saw this. I saw this in the Miami Herald where they didn't send top executives to his workout. And that can mean a couple things. Like some people, they only send their top executives to the guys that are really interested, or we on this show we refer to as the campfire. You send up some smoke signals, and you say, "Oh, maybe we don't want to show that we're that interested in Justin Herbert." Don't show your hand in it. So this was Justin Herbert yesterday. One of the big things has been the big concerns with him. It's not physical.
No,
I think with him, it's people love what he brings to the table from a physical standpoint. It's just a question of his leadership. Is he too much of an introvert? Can he inspire folks? And this was Justin Herbert on SportsCenter talking about his leadership qualities.
I think it's an opportunity to tell him different, and it's not something I normally agree with, and I think I'm much more extroverted and outgoing than everyone gives me credit for. And if you ask a lot of the guys around the facility, they'll tell you the same thing. So it's an opportunity for me to explain myself.
And then he also went in there and discussed what his strengths are.
I think arm strength and athleticism, I think that's something that we did at the University of Oregon and we utilized pretty well.
Can I say something? And I know I've told you this, but for those that are listening that haven't heard me say it, I'll say it as simple as possible. And I know some Dolphins hate to hear it. I like Justin Herbert.
Yeah?
I've liked him for a couple of years. I go back to for those that don't know, that I'm a Giants fan, and when the Giants desperately needed a quarterback before they drafted Daniel Jones and all the talk, and it looked like Herbert was going to come out the previous year. He was the guy I wanted. I would watch Oregon games and see this guy. He just seemed to have the whole package. Then all of a sudden he doesn't come out. Giants draft Daniel Jones. This year I didn't really follow much of what he did, but I kept reading that that people weren't as high on him. So remember, there was a time 2 years ago where he was the lock. He was the number one pick in the draft. I mean, he was the guy. And then all of a sudden I start reading, well, maybe he's not top 10. And the more I read, it was that. Well, he's got the physical tools, but the leadership part, I'm thinking to myself, really? That's what you're knocking the guy? I'm not saying that he's the guy. I like Tua more, but that's just a personal preference. But I wouldn't have a major issue if the Dolphins thought that Justin Herbert was the better, safer, whatever long-term quarterback for the future. I like Justin Herbert a lot.
Robbie, not to spoil what your draft room will be, because I know you got quarterbacks coming up down the pipe, but what has Justin Herbert done for his draft stock in this draft seasonal thing with workouts, Senior Bowl, and maybe his Pro Day?
Well, Senior Bowl and Combine were great. And the Pro Day, I was watching a little bit yesterday. He had some nice deep ball throws, but you got to remember, there's no defenders out there. And I saw a couple short throws that were on the ground. The guys caught it, but they were low. And the fact there's no defenders, you have to you have to still critique those. His out throws were great, but he did miss a couple throws short, low.
I will say this: Tua is the guy I want. I've been clear about that.
That.
Leroy's been nuts on me because I say
he's anti-Tua.
It's not. He's
just anti.
He's anti his hip.
And anti-giving up 3 first-round picks.
I think he's.
Well, I think you
have
to give up 3 first-round picks, right?
I think he's warmed up to the fact that if he's at 5, you take him. But even then, he was at some points worried about a guy having that type of injury and coming into the league, especially with the ankles. And I understand that. I'm just saying, for the Dolphins, this is my big thing with Tua is how good he's been in the SEC as a quarterback now for a couple of years. Even what he did, just bursting onto the stage, taking them back in the championship like he did. To me, the guy just looks special. And that's what I think this Dolphins draft should be. And I know a lot of people are like, that's not how teams are built, and top 5 quarterbacks, they don't need you. I don't care, man. This has been a franchise that has been so starved for a long time.
Agree.
I want them to have a guy who can be a transcendent talent, and I feel like this guy has the opportunity to be that for your team. And the other argument I get from people is, well, you're not going to have anything around him. It's like, all right, look, I know that this has been an organization that has had a lot of failures from a front office standpoint for a long time. But the whole point of even doing the tank for Tua movement or tanking for anybody movement is you were going to do it different. The reason I gave it the benefit of the doubt that I did is because Stephen Ross has done the thing where he's paid the big free agents. He's done the thing where they've made the big trades. He's done the thing where they've tried to go safe and build through the trenches. They've taken the quarterback that has just fallen to them. They've done all of that. They went and had a quarterback and they gave him all the patience in the world. They gave Ryan Tannehill 7 years. Nobody gets 7 years in the NFL to figure out if you have a franchise quarterback or not. It just doesn't happen. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt because they have tried everything else.
They have.
So if you're going to do that, give them the patience once you have Tua to let them try and build the team correctly. And if they fail, they fail. But I just, like, when you have all these draft picks and you have all this cap space, isn't the idea that you're going to get Tua, you don't play him for a year, and then he's going to have the infrastructure by year 2 to succeed?
I mean, the answer is yes, and you just said it. They have top 5 cap space. They have more picks than anyone. There is a reason all this losing, there is a benefit to it in the end, is you have this flexibility. They got rid of all these contracts and all these veteran players for this reason. Now, if you are in the school of thought, hey, I don't trust Chris Greer, I don't trust his front office, then no amount of draft picks or money will make you feel good, because you just don't have faith that the right moves will be made. Hey, if you're in that equation, that's you. There's nothing but from a non-bias, from a non-Dolphin, from just step outside of that Dolphins bubble and look at the setup of the franchise, the Dolphins are in good shape to become a good football team in a very short period of time with the assets that they have, with the money, with the draft positioning, with the amount of picks. Whether they do that, that's to be seen. But if as a Dolphin, I consider myself, even though I'm a Giants fan, I am a Dolphin fan just having grown up here and having seen them and covering them. I want them to do well. I think the Dolphins' future is bright. I really do. I don't say that as a homer to make people feel better. I truly believe they have a bright future in the next few years.
Well, they look like they have the most competent coach they've had in a long time. I mean, this guy, taking a team and having any over 500 stretch with the guys that they had last year, and I know Fitzpatrick had a nice season for him, but they were literally putting new defenders on the field from other people's practice squad every single week.
Guys that we didn't. There were times I was watching a game on a Sunday where I'm like, wait, who's that? He plays on the Dolphins? I had no idea.
Right, and so I feel like you should have a good feeling. I'm not saying he's the next Shula or anything like that. I'm not going to Stephen Ross it where he did that with Joe Philbin. But
was it Philbin or was it Gase?
I'm pretty sure he did it with both. He loves doing that thing.
Just don't call it.
He loves doing that thing.
Next Marino,
next Shula. Boy. That's definitely going to get said, by the way.
Whoever they get, it's going to be that. It's our first franchise quarterback since Marino.
Oh yeah. But then as far as so I feel like you should feel good about who you have leading your organization with Brian Flores. Even if you don't feel, I know some people are tepid on Chris Greer because of the whole way the Fitzpatrick thing played out. But, I just feel like they're going, if you went into this with the idea that you were going to start and everybody feels like the right way to start is getting your franchise quarterback, if you're going to come out of this and you're not going to end up getting him, it's going to be a downer for me. Now, the question is, okay, what if somebody goes and they overpay what if, two things. What if the Redskins are crazy and they draft him?
Possibility.
Not possibility.
With the Redskins, you just never know.
Can't put it past them. And then what if somebody just wildly overpays and they just go in too steep? Like if they go in Robbie's mind, and they pay 2 first-round picks and Robbie's like, no, don't do it. Then the question becomes, okay, then at 5 is Justin Herbert worth it? And I got to be honest with you. Like I think that this is one of those things where the big question with the Dolphins is, okay, are we good, or do we really go through all that and we're not going to have any guy be our franchise quarterback? And do you feel like that guy is still on the same level as Tua as far as being that, because some people think that he should be higher because of the physical frame that he brings into it, the natural talent that he brings into it, and the lack of injury concerns.
Those are all things I agree with. Now, I am on board with Tua. I am on board, though, with you got to get your quarterback. The Dolphins have the 5th pick in the draft and a ton of assets. Outside of Joe Burrow, who it looks like every indication is the Bengals are not going to move from there. They're going to take him.
We'd have to like kidnap Duke Tobin's. Do you know his name is Duke Tobin, by the way, who runs the Bengals?
I did not know that.
Yeah, not related.
Not related.
Not related.
That's good. You don't want any part of the Bengals in your life.
I would unless we kidnap his dog or something like that. I don't know how we're going to be able to get him to trade.
It's not going to happen. Yeah. So if you are the Dolphins or you're in a position, I know you don't control it because a team doesn't have to say yes to your offer, but you need to get the quarterback that you want. You need to go out there and get, and if it's Tua or Herbert, whatever it may be, you can't sit there at 5. You have to be aggressive. I have no problem with that. I think the Dolphins are in position, but you can't be like, well, I don't want to give up the extra first. If there's somebody who wants an extra first-round pick, and that's whatever the package may be, and you're going to hold off on that, but we'll settle for X quarterback, whatever it is, whether it's Herbert at 5 or Jordan Love later or whatever it may be. You can't settle for this decision. You have to get the guy that you truly want, and if he's available. And if Tua's that guy, they've got to get him. They just have to. You can't be like, well, we really wanted Tua, but yeah, we're good with Herbert. It's okay.
So you can text the show 67974. We'll be back with more after this.